It's time again for Talking Trade, sponsored by MMAC's World Trade Association and Michael Best Strategies.
Welcome to another session of Talking Trade. I'm Ken Wasylik, Managing Director of E.M. Wasylik and Associates and the International Business Development Company. Well, we really have a special program for you today on Talking Trade. I'm sitting here with Rob LoBreglio, the Great Dane founder and CEO, but we're not in Dane County or Madison, Wisconsin. We're in outside of Sendai, Japan, in Miyagi Prefecture. And so, Rob, thank you for joining us on Talking Trade.
Thank you for being here in Sendai.
Yeah,
Hello, everyone.
This is really good. So, fascinating story. You and I met some years ago. You told me about your meeting, your Japanese colleagues, and here we are in Sendai after the brewery has been open. But why don't you give us what's the backstory on this? This is such an interesting story to develop here. What's the backstory?
Okay. Well, the original Great Dane was opened by myself and a college buddy, Elliot Butler. He's the president of Great Dane Pub and Brewing in Madison. When we first opened the Great Dane, my brother was living in Japan. And through him, I met a Japanese gentleman who I end up becoming friends with and actually training as a brewer. So that's really the genesis of all this, was that, I had this Japanese friend and, I trained him as a brewer, and we always talked about maybe doing something together. And so here we are. We finally, after 30 years, got our act together and opened this production brewery here.
So it's like a life dream of yours over the last 30 years to actually internationalize Great Dane, take that first step out of the U.S.?
Yeah, well, it's really interesting because I didn't anticipate bringing the name Great Dane here. But after discussing it with my partners here, everyone agreed that the story of myself and Tetsu, my friend, coming together, that was really like the strength of our story, and we needed to call it the Great Dane because that was the genesis of it all.
Right.
So we ended up transplanting the name here, even though it's in English.
Yeah, right.
And we're in Japan. Now I am happy. I was not sure about that decision, but now it seems like people are reacting well to it. It's becoming somewhat iconic, just the dog head. It's different.
Right. Yeah, very unique. Very unique. So, building any kind of entrepreneurial business, whether it's in the U.S., but definitely outside of your home country, there's always these challenges. So what were some of those challenges that you had when you were establishing Great Dane here in Japan?
Well, fundraising, of course, is always a challenge. And we didn't get any subsidies from the Japanese government, but we did get a very lucrative loan.
Ah, okay.
So,
Good.
we were able to fundraise. Our capital came from the U.S., but the majority of the startup costs were connected to this loan.
Yeah.
And there have been a lot of challenges. I don't speak Japanese, so of course that's kind of difficult. And in Japan, compared to the U.S., there's a lot more red tape, and so that could be difficult. But we got through it.
We got through it. Well, you have 16 beers on tap from a wide variety of APAs. As you could tell, we're during production here in the background here. We're in the brew house right here.
Yeah.
So there's 16 brews on it. And obviously, the big brewers in Japan, Asahi, Kirin, Sapporo. Craft brewing seems to be taking a hold here in Japan. I know in Yokohama and Tokyo, I've been at a couple of craft breweries. Is that being popular like it is in the United States?
Yeah, so we actually started this project 10 years ago. That was when I first met Phil Dawson, who's another one of our partners. And at that point, we did a small documentary. It's craft beer in Japan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even back then.
Yep. And it was probably not the full 10 years ago, but about 7 or 8 years ago, craft beer in Japan was about 1.5% of the market. And now, in those approximate 6, 7 years, it's increased to somewhere between 3 and 4%. There's not, there's COVID related information issues there. But, in America, it's about 15%. And no one thinks that it's going to grow to be 15% of the market like in America, but most people believe that it's going to at least double up to about 7 or 8% of the market.
Okay. Well, we're actually drinking a Pilsner, a beautiful Pilsner Kampai. And I know most of the beer here in Japan is on the lighter Pilsner side, lager as well. Is there an acclimate? You have the IPAs, the APAs, the Scotch ales. Are people experimenting with this, craft brewing from outside of Japan and normal Japanese tastes?
Yeah, that's a great question. And to be honest, here in Japan, people have, I hope this sounds appropriate, but they've jumped onto the IPA craze just like in America.
Okay.
So it's kind of like they went from 0 to 60 here. And, I feel that there are a lot of styles that are not being represented well. Mm-hmm. I kind of consider myself a traditional lager brewer, kind of the Wisconsin heritage.
Right.
But, of course, we need to make what's popular. And so that's why we have 16 different varieties of beer. Yeah. And so we're kind of trying to fill that void between, the light lagers and the IPAs.
Okay.
We're trying to fill a little bit.
Well, globally, there's so many different fermented alcohol beverages, right? Of which beer is one of them.
Yeah,
and
thousands of
different styles here. And so it's interesting that some of those styles are getting popular in Japan.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm just as curious, about the future of brewing. I'm just as curious here as I was in America. Again, there's been such a dramatic shift to the IPAs, very hoppy beers. And I'll enjoy a hoppy beer, but, there are many other beer styles that, I want to try and sample as well. So I'm curious. I'm curious what's going to happen in America with the IPA craze. I'm curious what's going to happen here with the IPA craze.
Yeah. So if you kind of look forward, in America, in the States, all the big breweries, Budweiser and Coors and Miller, they bought craft brewers, right? Is that going to be the same thing? Asahi just bought Octopi Brewing in Wanakee, which is a massive craft brewer, right? And contract brewer as well. And here they are going to make Super Dry, which is probably the most popular beer here in Japan. They're going to be making it in Wisconsin of all places.
Yeah.
Right. So is there this Japan U.S. kind of combination joining here?
There definitely is. Of course, the beer market, the beer industry is, this complete global phenomenon. Sapporo bought Anchor Brewing
Right.
Company,
Yeah.
and then they sold it.
Okay.
I mean, Constellation that makes Corona bought, you know, the brewery from California. Anyway, so, but and same things happening, starting to happen here. And again, like I'm not sure how much it's gonna echo what happened in the U.S., but you know, Kieran already bought into Yahoo Brewing Company. Great little big brewery now, make Yona Ale, and you know, Kieran partnered with them. Bought a 30% interest in the company, and then gave them access to their distribution system, and you know that made them ubiquitous throughout Japan now.
Right.
You can find Yona in all the 7-Elevens, convenience stores.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Well, one thing, I've been traveling to Japan for over 30 years, and I know from a corporate standpoint or a societal standpoint, it's very hierarchical. You know, the senior members of a family are revered, and same with in the corporate world. What are some of the cultural things that you found, how to use, different than the U.S. or American style of running a business?
Yeah. So I think I mentioned the red tape already.
Yeah, bureaucratic, very one.
Yeah, extremely bureaucratic, and you know, I'm kind of a American root 'em, shoot 'em kind of guy.
Oh, well, they call us the Cowboys. So,
Yeah. So that doesn't always go well here, but you know, I'm committed to, you know, learning the business culture here and acting appropriately. So, but mostly that means delegating to, you know, the people who understand it the best.
Right.
And you know, the work ethic here is phenomenal. You know, I'm not saying anything bad. We built our brand on, you know, the incredible team that we have in America. But yeah, there's a really strong work ethic.
Yeah. No, most definitely. And I know there's a lot of government policies. The number of holidays that are in Japan are greater than probably any other country I've ever traveled to. It almost seemingly every week there's a holiday.
Yeah, we just celebrated Marine Day.
Marine Day. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Work ethic.
Yeah, work ethic. Yeah, here it is on a Saturday afternoon when everybody else should be drinking beer. People are working. So you moved here a couple of years ago, built the brewery. What's the future look like there?
It's interesting. We just had our first big staff meeting talking about the future. You know, we want to solidify ourselves as, you know, geographically. So, you know, I'm friends with principals at like Goose Island Brewing Company who started, you know, Chicago, very Chicago-centric.
Right.
Good friends at Boston Beer Company, Sam Adams. You know, so I really just want to pay attention. We're still only 6 months old, and I just want to make sure that we kind of have that strong regional association, very much like New Glarus also, only in Wisconsin.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, you know, number one is just keep making good beer. Let people know that, you know, this is our, you know, orientation. You know, we're here in Akyu, Sendai, Miyagi, Tohoku. We want to be known as like a Tohoku, Northern Japan brewing company.
Right. Well, this is a beautiful area, and hot springs are here in Akio. It's just wonderful. I guess I'm kind of probably maybe the last question. How'd you pick this location?
Okay. So when we started looking around Japan, we contacted JETRO, which is the Japan
right.
External Trade Organization.
Yes.
And we were looking all over Japan. And they introduced us to, real estate people all over. And then a couple of years went by. Like I mentioned, we started this project 10 years ago. A couple of years went by, and we weren't really getting any traction. But Jetro called us, and they said that the Miyagi government, Miyagi Prefecture government people wanted to visit us in Wisconsin and talk about doing the brewery here in Miyagi. So so they connected us with the Miyagi government, and then the Miyagi government, they were kind enough to come visit me in Madison. So I returned the favor. I came here. I saw Sendai. I fell in love with it. Many similarities with Madison, where we started. Tohoku University, largest university. It's the capital of the Tohoku region. A lot of sports enthusiasm.
Right.
Just a lot of good connections. And then when I came here, they introduced me to some people here, like the Aku Winery, which actually you should go visit. The Aku Winery. They introduced me to the owner, fabulous guy. He helped us. He had the vision of us as a winery and a brewery working together. I have another friend. He has a vineyard here. Aku is getting known as a craft village. We have a lot of artists, glass blowers, coffee roasters, leather makers, gelato. Again, the winery.
Wow.
Just connections kept happening.
Yeah.
Just almost like kismet.
Yeah. Well, a lot of international development has always happened with the similarities of one country to the other country. I mean, obviously, our German heritage in upper Wisconsin, or Norwegian, Scandinavian heritage, similar climates, similar agricultural based, similar landscape and the like. And so it's very similar that you found Miyagi Prefecture as being very similar to the Wisconsin area.
Yeah. So latitudinally speaking, like it was Milwaukee and Munich, and where?
Yeah, exactly. The same latitude. Sendai is on the same latitude as that.
Yeah.
So, that's it's really good. So, Rob, is there any you've gone through it, you transported yourself out, you built a business in a foreign country. Is there any recommendations or advice that you give to other global entrepreneurs?
It's all about creating a good, strong team and delegating. I'm still delegating, and quite honestly, I'm hiring a brewing consultant, a gentleman who was a brewmaster for Anheuser-Busch. Budweiser is coming here for 5 weeks because I just had to admit I can't do it all. So we have 5 founders here. And everyone is doing, very important work. And then, again, like, the delegation aspect, the investing in your key personnel. There's so many people here that, I couldn't be able to do this without.
Yeah. Oh, great. Thank you very much, Rob, for joining us on Talking Trade. It's a fascinating conversation that we're having here. So, and I look forward to the next time I come visit you here in Sendai. This is Ken Wasylik, Managing Director of E.M. Wasylik Associates. Thanks for joining us on this session of Talking Trade.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Talking Trade, sponsored by MMAC's World Trade Association and Michael Best Strategies.